I'm 27 years old. I live in Hai Phong, Vietnam. I earn about $400 a month. This is my ordinary life. Hi, I'm Sang. I'm a 27-year-old freelance video editor living in Hai Phong, Vietnam. A few months ago, I left my job, spent half of my savings on a hair transplant, and decided it was finally time to chase a dream I'd put off for years, creating videos on YouTube. I used to work as a video editor. Over the past few years, I've worked as a freelance editor, and I also edited 2D and 3D animated films for a local animation studio here in Hai Phong. About 6 months ago, I decided to leave my job. Since then, I've been searching for a new direction in life. At the moment, I still live with my family and mostly work as a freelance video editor whenever projects come in. On average, I earn around 10 million Vietnamese dong a month, which is about $400. It's a fairly ordinary income for many young people in Vietnam. So I live a simple life and try to be careful with how I spend my money. A few months ago, I made one of the biggest decisions of my life. I used half of the money I had saved over 3 years of working to get a hair transplant. To many people, it may seem like a small change, but for me, it was about rebuilding my confidence. My dream is to become a full-time content creator, and I believe that feeling more confident in front of the camera will help me tell my stories more honestly. That's why I started Vietnam Diaries. This morning, I had a simple breakfast. A packaged sweetbread and a cup of soy milk from my mom's small neighborhood convenience store. While I was eating, I sat and chatted with her for a while before starting my day. My mom is 68 years old. She still runs a small neighborhood convenience store at the entrance of the alley where we live. It's the same little shop she's owned ever since I was a child. Back then, there weren't many supermarkets or convenience stores in Vietnam, so her shop was always busy with customers. But over the years, larger stores have become much more common, and business isn't what it used to be. Now that she's getting older, her health isn't as good as it once was, so she only opens the shop on the days when she's feeling well enough. Even so, this little store is what raised me and supported our family for all these years. This chili plant was grown by my dad. It's full of peppers, and they're incredibly spicy. Around it are a few ornamental plants that I've been growing in our small front yard. Our house was rebuilt a few years ago, so the outdoor space is much smaller than it used to be. I still miss our old home, where we had a much bigger yard with lots of trees. It felt more open, peaceful, and much cooler, especially during the summer. These hanging plants belong to my neighbor next door. I see them every day, and they've become such a familiar sight that they almost feel like part of my own home. And this is our kitchen. After breakfast, I take my hair transplant medication. I'm still in the shedding phase before the new hair starts growing, so I'm avoiding sports and any heavy exercise for now. In the morning, I usually spend some time coming up with ideas for my next videos. I'll begin by sharing my own everyday life, my work, my daily routine, the simple meals I eat, and the little moments that make up an ordinary day. Around noon, it's time to prepare lunch. In many Vietnamese homes, rice is stored in large ceramic jars. They help keep the rice dry and protect it from insects. You can probably hear my little nephew in the background. He's just over 3 years old and is learning to talk, so the house is usually pretty lively. I learned this way of scoring a tomato from a Korean drama. Today, I'm making pork patties, fried fish with tomato sauce, and crispy fried shallots. These are common dishes served with rice in many Vietnamese homes. First, I heat a little cooking oil and sauté the tomatoes with some shallots until they're fragrant. We use both a gas stove and an electric cooktop at home. Cooking only with electricity can get expensive in the summer, and we sometimes have power outages for maintenance, so having a gas stove is always a good backup. Once the tomatoes and shallots have softened, I add the pork patties and fried fish, then gently mix everything together. After that, I season it with a little soup seasoning and a bit of sugar. My family prefers lighter flavors, so we don't use much seasoning. I'm from northern Vietnam, so that's what I'm used to. Finally, I add a few fresh herbs on top to bring out the aroma and make the dish look even more appetizing. Whenever I visit southern Vietnam, the food is usually richer and a bit sweeter, so it takes me some time to get used to the taste. Today's vegetable is boiled Malabar spinach. We usually dip it in fish sauce with a little lime juice. I'm curious, do people in your country eat vegetables like this too? Lunch is ready. I put everything on the table. Then grab a bottle of Nam Gu fish sauce from the cabinet below. Finally, I squeeze in a little fresh lime juice to make a simple dipping sauce. This is our lunch. Boiled vegetables, a bowl of fish sauce for dipping, a savory dish to eat with rice, and a simple soup made from the water used to boil the vegetables. Then I have lunch with my mom. Everyone in the family has a different schedule around noon, so we usually eat first while the food is still hot. The others will eat later when they finish what they're doing. My family usually eats on a mat on the floor. It's much cooler, especially during the summer. A dining table would take up too much space in our small kitchen, and I've been eating like this since I was a kid. After lunch, I clean up and wash the dishes. It's something I've always done since I grew up, so my mom doesn't have to. After everything is done, I usually relax on my bed, scroll through my phone for a while, and then take a 30-minute to 1-hour nap. Even when I worked an office job, I did the same. In Vietnam, many people take a nap at noon to feel more refreshed for the rest of the day. After waking up, I head back to my computer to finish the rest of my work. This is where I spend most of my time, editing videos with CapCut Pro and Adobe Premiere Pro. When I'm done with work, I like to relax on the balcony. From here, I can watch my neighbor tending his vegetable garden. As a kid, my friends and I used to play hide and seek in my neighbor's garden. Some of my favorite childhood memories were made there. Sometimes I miss having a big green yard like that around my own home. And enjoy the sunset over Hai Phong. The pink clouds at the end of the day are always my favorite part. Back then, our home was just a simple, one-story house. There weren't many tall houses packed closely together like there are today, and the neighborhood felt much greener. This is the entrance to the alley where I live. In Vietnam, motorcycles are the main way people get around. In the distance, toward the sea, you can see a few wind turbines. The balcony is my favorite place to relax at the end of the day. I have a portable hammock here where I like to rest, enjoy the breeze, or play my guitar. It's also where I usually work out. You might notice the dumbbells in the corner, but I'm still recovering from my hair transplant, so I'm not using them just yet. I taught myself to play the guitar when I was in 10th grade. Later, in college, I worked part-time to save up for a second-hand piano and taught myself that too. I love musical instruments because their sound always helps me relax and lifts my mood. Right now, I have a guitar, a piano, a kalimba, and a bamboo flute. I used to have a ukulele as well. These are the plants I grow and take care of on my balcony. I also designed this little space myself when our house was rebuilt. I studied construction in college, but I realized my passion was in the arts. So, after graduating, I ended up choosing a completely different career. Look over there. Once the streetlights come on, this place looks really beautiful at night. There are still a few open fields left, untouched by new buildings. I hope it stays this peaceful for a little longer. From behind my house, I can sometimes watch planes taking off. Before all these taller buildings were built, the view was much clearer than it is today. Look, there's another plane coming into land. From my balcony, I can spot its blinking lights long before it gets close. My house is less than a 10-minute motorbike ride from the airport. After dinner, around 9 p.m., I usually take a walk around my neighborhood. It's peaceful at this time of day. You can hear TVs playing inside the houses and families spending time together. I really like the neighborhood where I live. It's much quieter than the busy city center or the main roads. It takes about 30 minutes by motorbike to get from my house to downtown Hai Phong. Most of the streetlights here give off a warm yellow glow because they were installed nearly 10 years ago. On the newer roads, though, they've switched to bright white LED lights. Every now and then, you'll see children playing outside, until around 10 p.m. By 10:30, the whole neighborhood slowly settles down for the night. Later in the evening, I spend a little more time working and thinking about new ideas for the channel and where I want to take it in the future. Then, I'll take you around Hai Phong, the city where I was born and raised. We'll explore local markets, street food, quiet neighborhoods, and the everyday lives of the people who live here. As this journey continues, I hope to travel to many other parts of Vietnam and introduce you to the country's beautiful landscapes, unique culture, local traditions, and the stories that many international visitors have never had the chance to experience. This isn't a channel about luxury or a perfect lifestyle. It's simply the journey of an ordinary guy trying to build a better life while sharing the real Vietnam through his own eyes. If you're curious about what everyday life in Vietnam is really like, I'd be happy to have you here. If you've made it all the way to the end of this video, thank you so much. It truly means a lot to me. If you enjoyed this journey, I'd really appreciate it if you subscribed and left a comment. Feel free to share your thoughts, or let me know what you're curious about in Vietnam, whether it's the people, the culture, or everyday life. I'll do my best to show you the most honest and authentic side of it. Thanks again for being part of this new journey with me. I'll see you in the next video. And before you go, leave a comment and tell me which country you're watching from. I'd love to know.